Good evening, everyone. My name is Delicia Wedley McKinney. I will be presenting my research proposal on the impact of relationship satisfaction on the African American familial unit. As a therapist specializing in minority identities, I've had several clients of color desiring healthier romantic relationships, but struggling to connect with others. This pattern piqued my interest in the concept of relationships and the African American community, and I chose to research something that acknowledges the intersectionalities of these two topics. This proposal will highlight the systemic impact of society, culture, and trauma within the heterosexual African American families and begin the conversation about the current literature, the factors reinforcing these issues, and ways to use research to address the current needs. The purpose of this presentation is to really discuss some of the key factors that I have found from a clinician and from a researcher. And throughout the literature, there have been several studies conducted examining the emotional intelligence, relationship satisfaction, and relationship longevity. Unfortunately, there is an absence in the literature containing a sample with a majority of minority participants. As a result, the current suggested interventions and known knowledge regarding relationships and its complexities is particularly based off relationships of heterosexual Caucasian couples, which, as I am conducting research and has chosen to research this topic, I kind of utilize a family systems approach, and I have concluded that there are several key factors that influence relationship in minority cultures. They are relationship dynamics, offspring satisfaction, behavioral patterns, attachment styles, external factors and circumstances, and interpersonal relationships. This research proposal will strive to acknowledge and highlight the intersectionalities of these concepts and their influence on relationships within the African American community. So, based off the current literature, there are two main factors that have a large impact on relationships within the African American community. And those two are parental impact and the overall relationship satisfaction. Bakesman, Igensborn, and Koonsberg conducted a research study to examine the impact of a child's bond with their mother on their social emotional development. It was concluded throughout this study that African American children have a lower attachment security with their mother due to external factors such as economic status and income. The authors reinforced that this conclusion was not based off their parents' desire to have a low bond with them, but just due to the fact that the parents needed to return to work in order to provide for their basic needs. Another key concept within the parental impact is the presence of parental suppression, causing children to internalize their emotion, thus hindering their ability to communicate and emotionally express their needs. This factor has long-lasting effect on a child's ability to express and regulate their emotions due to the need to restrict them. Dunbar, Zeitenlu, and Lurks acknowledge within their study that once a child has reached school age, their behaviors are often mislabeled as hostile or aggressive compared to their white counterparts. We, as individuals, continue to see this pattern in African Americans in the workforce, such as the angry Black woman, or how people are, how African American men feel are seen as a threat just for doing basic things. We continue to see this. Oh, these authors address these potential systemic factors of parents' inability to regulate and identify their own emotions, resulting in this continued behaviors in their children. So, one of the key concepts, or something to also think about is the presence of intergenerational trauma. So if a parent is unable to regulate and identify and communicate their own emotions and their needs or whatnot, they're passing on this same mindset and same behaviors from generation to generation, which in a sense can be potentially stem from some intergenerational trauma that is constantly being seeped into one individual after another, just based off the silence of or the presence of this emotional suppression or emotional restriction. The other key component of relationships was the concept of relationship satisfaction. In the study conducted by Mackey, Dimmer, and O'Brien, they were able to identify four key relational factors: communication, conflict management, equity, and intimacy. If we take a moment to think about the knowledge that we have from the other two studies that I have discussed, we can see how these relational needs originate in childhood. And for African Americans, it is the beginning of a social emotional deficit, resulting in the lack in the ability to have healthy communication, resulting in negative conflict management skills, creating a skewed sense of equity and intimacy. And so, as we can see, the parental impact is really setting the foundation for how individuals see the world, respond to the world, and react to the world. And if we as African Americans, or if African American children and their mothers are not able to bond to create a solid sense of connection, we are now seeing that it is showing up years late. It has a lasting impact on them because of their inability to have successful relationships at the same rate as other demographics. The research question was to see if there was a correlation between the parental relationship satisfaction and the offspring's bond with each parent. Even though I was initially trying to see if there was a relationship, I was trying to see if there was some form of how to study relationship satisfaction. And based on the data that I was able to analyze and pull from, we kind of came up with an idea of studying the relationship satisfaction and the relationship satisfaction between two parents and how it may impact the offspring relationship to each individual parent. The hypothesis that we concluded was that there would be a correlation, and this resulted in the question being selected from a longitudinal study from the Ad Health data set, allowing me to examine about 4,000 responses. Before revealing the results, there were three variables that were identified to address the proposed research question. The numbers, the code you'll see is PC44A. That was in relevance to how much do you agree or disagree with the following statement. Overall, you are satisfied with your relationship with blank. And this was for the parents. H1PF5, that includes, do you agree with the following statement? Overall, you are satisfied with your relationship with your mother. And H1PF25 was, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Overall, you are satisfied with your relationship with your father. Let's see the results. As one can see, based off the chart, there is a correlation between the variables. This finding acknowledges the pivotal role that parents have within the family unit. So as we can see, for each of our three variables, that there are significant correlations of how each parent views their relationship with the other parent and how the child is then impacted or influenced based on their individual relationship with each parent, with each separate parent. These behaviors are present, both platonic. Oh, sorry. So, in conclusion, these behaviors are present in their relationships, both platonic and romantic, and are often passed down to their offspring. That Ad Health confirms the notion regarding correlation of the parental family unit and its impact on the individual relationship between the child and each of their parents. By researching various concepts of relationship satisfaction and familial dynamics, the academic discourse can expand and develop techniques to meet the needs of the population and create a better future for generations to come. But then this is also very pivotal in the field of marriage and family therapy, of how therapists can begin to create cultural, competent, and inclusive interventions regarding family therapy, individual therapy, couples therapy. So therefore, we are addressing and acknowledging the social emotional gaps that have been present since childhood, and ways to bridge those gaps by having a more comprehensive and systemic perspective on what's happening a within our clients, but also acknowledging the presence of the many systems that they are part of. And this was just a very brief conclusion and a very brief research regarding relationships within the African American community. But I think as we are looking forward as far as the future of the field, that there's a lot of research that could be taken upon based off the information that was presented today. Thank you all so much for listening. And these are a snippet of the references that I used throughout this presentation.